Hello, everyone, and welcome to One Liners, a series centered around key influencers and players in the performance marketing space. My name is Joey Liner of Liner Connections, and I am your host. I've been starting off episodes just asking my friends and followers to please like and subscribe my LinkedIn Liner Connections page and my YouTube page as well as I'm trying to continue to grow content and grow my subscriber base. I appreciate your support. Today, I am very excited to have two special guests on, both from LeadCloud. Devin and Matt, say hello.
Hey,
Hey,
good
Joey,
afternoon.
everybody. How are you?
It's good to have you both. I Lead Cloud is and Matt and Devin is relatively a new friend for me, but Matt and some of the folks at Lead Cloud I go way back. I worked with Matt at Double Positive. Brian Ochiltree, the founder of Lead Cloud, was part of the management team with me at Double Positive. So we go back to Baltimore and Beemore, and we also go back to just getting to work together every day way back when. Seems like a lifetime. Oh, look at that. Matt, bring that back down again. What is that?
That's for you, man. I was gonna put it up.
Is that
Ray
Ray Ray?
Lewis. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Signed Ray Ray. I got a little there's a little Ray
Mine
Ray
should be
action
in
too right here,
Nice.
glass.
man. Look at
Love it.
that. We're like dual Ray. I mean, what's the odds of that? Both of us have we didn't
Hilarious.
plan that out, everybody, I promise. But that's badass. I like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna make the highlights of the year. Um,
Nice.
we will probably get a little Ravens chat in here too. But yeah, I'd love for you guys to just give a little backstory about both of yourselves and how you got to Lead Cloud. And Devin, please kick us off there, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Marketing at LeadCloud. Spent most of the last decade working in lead gen and pricing in insurance. Had worked with LeadCloud at all of my prior carrier experiences. So when I called up Brian as the Godfather, as I like to call, of InsurTech, knowing everyone and connecting everyone, said, "Hey, I'm looking for a new gig," and he's like, "Oh, well, you should come here." So super pumped to work with everybody at the team. Just hit my 1 year mark a couple
Oh,
weeks ago.
congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Right on. It seems it's in lead gen that's like dog years, right? So it seems like
Totally.
you probably worked a decade. And Matt, like I said, we go way back, dude.
Yeah.
But I remember you coming on board to Double Positive, man. But yeah, give a
Yeah.
background of yourself and how
Sure.
you got to where you are today.
Yeah, definitely. So Matt Fraser, Chief Operating Officer at LeadCloud. Um, After high school, played music, drums in a rock band and a pop soul trio, and did that for about a decade. And other than like being a really good um, way to be creative, I also learned a ton about business operating. Um, a collective of people who are like all looking to do the same thing and achieve the same goal. After that kind of fizzled, went back to school, got my business degree, and got an internship at Double Positive, and started there. One of the I kind of had to tell you this because you've played such a huge role in my career, Joey. When I look back, coming out of school, you kind of have like this idea of like what the corporate world's like, and trying to fit into that, and learning from you and your authentic ways and your genuine self really helped me do the exact same thing. And I think when I had that revelation, it really changed my whole trajectory. In the 8 years, which, dude, is a long time,
Yeah.
at Double Positive, I went from an intern to the vice president and was running the warm transfers product after you left. So
Yeah.
huge growth there. All the while I was watching what Brian Ogletree and Chris Cormier were doing.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, when I looked at what I was going to be doing, I really, really, really liked those guys and was hoping that the next iteration of my career would be at LeadCloud, and it worked out. And he wanted to make Brian wanted to make a product that I could run. Couldn't do that right away, so got in, learned the business, and that product never happened. But now I'm running operations for the whole org. So
Oh,
it's been a really fun ride, man.
yeah, dude, definitely. And thank you for the compliment. I loved watching you grow within Double Positive. You earned every step of the way. We had such a good team and culture, and you were a big part of driving becoming a leader, like going from an intern to becoming a leader. And I was sad when I had to leave working with you every day,
Yeah.
but it's been fun to see you in action out and about, and now especially like the times we all get to see each other's usually at shows,
Yeah.
which is great. But I think it's I would love to share the journey of LeadCloud today because I think you guys have just to Devin's point,
Mhm.
Brian is the one of the godfathers of insurtech. Like he was definitely ahead of the game when trying to solve a big problem,
Absolutely.
which at the time, even when he brought up the business concept at Double Positive, um, it was a game changer, and super proud of him and all of you guys for building out such a great company. So Lead Cloud, Devin was, or let's start with Matt. Actually, Lead Cloud was started
Mhm.
with connected the helping solve the problem like we just talked about of connectivity between buyers and sellers. And is that still part of the mission today?
Yeah, it's at the root of everything that Lead Cloud does. I think Brian had one of those moments that great leaders have, where it's just like, oh, yeah, no one's doing this. He was trying to, I think, in probably 2012, even trying to connect to a large carrier at the time, and seeing just to launch a small program how long that would take. And I think that light bulb moment was, man, we can make this so much more efficient and scalable. And I think that whole timeline of getting as many buyers and sellers, third party data, scoring, contact solutions, all of that built into our system to be that um, one time universal adapter has really changed the game in auto insurance, PNC space, and in other verticals. Um, it's given all of our buyers that speed to market that I think was missing, and that's giving those guys the ability to really supercharge some of the technology growth that we've been seeing in the industry. And I think Brian deserves huge credit for that moment.
Yeah, it's. I still talk to. I was on a call yesterday, and one of my clients was saying how frustrated he was with how slow integrations were taking between the carrier and his company, and I was like, well, that's why Lead Cloud was built. So it's
100%. Send them our way, Joey.
I think they actually already are working with you, so
Okay, good.
it's good. It's good. They'll probably bring this up as their next initiative, but
Awesome.
um, yeah, Devin, like so you're coming on board. You're a year in now. What are some of the things that so the initial mission and foundation is there, right? It's a nucleus, if we may call it that. What do you think is, or what are you focusing on now? I know we'll talk about some market trends and stuff, and what you guys have had to do to pivot, but like, what's really what do you see as some of the problems you're trying to help solve now, as we're halfway through 2023, and looking at what's out there today?
Sure. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, one of the big topics that people are talking about right now, and if you haven't heard about it yet, you're living under a rock, is embedded insurance. We've been doing embedded experiences since 2017. Keep me honest there, Matt.
Mhm.
Uh, and the more people look at the opportunity to drive customers further through a funnel, reduce the amount of hurdles they have to jump through and hiccups that they hit in the buying process, the better in order for them to bind a policy. And that same element is driving folks outside of the insurance industry to say, hey, we're insurance is a part of our buying process. Why aren't we involved in that? Why don't we have a quoting solution, whether it's in automotive or home? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah.
In addition to embedded batch rating solutions, we'll talk more about what the current status is of the auto insurance market, but seeing these mergers and acquisitions happen, figuring out how to combine information from one legacy system to another.
Yeah.
We have solutions that can batch rate, pass information, re-rate, send them to different systems
Wow.
that most people don't have the time to build or don't have the
Right.
capabilities to develop at the moment.
Probably both. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If you can just back up for because I think what is embedded like as the cool kids say, explain it to me like I'm 5.
great question.
What is embedded insurance? Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Now there's practically 3 definitions.
Okay.
One, there's the company that has trademarked embedded insurance and is calling themselves that, who are also trying to buy Root right now. Some fun news on that. Look into it from this past week. There's the insurance definition of you're delivering a quoting experience where someone sees a rate, runs reports, and can bind it on a non-carrier website. So if I went to CarMax and if I could complete an entire quote and bind it on CarMax.com, that would be an embedded experience. Outside of insurance, the conversation is really like, hey, I'm Nissan and I want to give people quotes when they're searching for a new Nissan Frontier. They want to pop up, hey, here's your prices or here's some options. They also call that embedded. So there's some fluctuation on what people call embedded, but the real essence is delivering a price to a customer, not natively on a carrier site.
That makes sense. So as we look at forms embedded or in the affiliate space, how you're driving through it. I actually talked to a company the other day who is doing e-commerce, and basically they're using a big brand as the storefront, but then having the actual cart being from the direct supplier, so they don't even know who the actually back end supplier is or product owner. It's actually puts this big brand and they were able to keep that consumer in an Apple Cart, right, or a Google Cart, which is pretty cool. So
cool.
I like what you guys have evolved or helped, because like I said, the market was telling you all that. So do you guys have this technology that helps facilitate that today? Like I said, either the 2 reasons I think you mentioned are is people just don't have the technology to be and the resources to be able to do it, right? And so LeadCloud can.
Yeah, we can, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Devin, talk to me too about, because our industry, people like to step on the gas when things are going really well. We like to all make a ton of profits. I was a part of Digital Media Solutions, which acquired Underground Elephant, and rode a big auto insurance wave through the pandemic. But I know there was a lot of growth even before that. But through 2020, it was just major growth. Nobody was driving. I think that means that there wasn't as many claims, right? And then 2021 hits, the vaccine came out, people started getting out and driving again, and just slowly seen a decline in the auto insurance space in general. I mean, I live in California. The last couple months, there's been some major carriers that won't even issue or write new home policies. What is going on? Like what have you seen in because I know given your background, like you've seen a lot of ups and downs, cyclicality in the market, but like, what is your take on since what's been going on since 2021?
Yeah, it's been a perfect storm, and having been on the carrier side until June of 2022, had an interesting viewpoint into that whole wave and falling down into the bottom of it. A lot of factors drove what we're seeing today. A couple of them to name off top would be logistical issues around how do you repair a vehicle that has been damaged. Can you actually get the door, the bumper, the glass, etc.? Those same supply chain issues are getting better from pandemic time to now, but they're still not 100%. The availability of technicians to actually work on those vehicles still extremely limited. Just trying to get an appointment as a regular person to get your oil changed is a little bit of a crapshoot at times. The regulatory gridlock is really difficult and especially pronounced in your state, California. It is when you say for 2 years you can't change anything, and then there's so much built up demand, it's causing huge problems. Part of the reason why Allstate Farmers, State Farm left the California homeowners market, they couldn't make the changes that they felt they needed to reach profitability. In addition to that, rental car availability. A lot of us watched the news and saw Hertz and Enterprise sell off their entire stocks practically of vehicles, parking lots full, and then come back when everyone has that damaged car, needs a rental, and they're suddenly like, it's $400 for a Corolla.
I know, yeah.
Good luck. All of those things. And another one that's starting to come up now is strained police force resources. When you stop giving people tickets and everyone starts driving faster at the same time, and they haven't been driving a lot, your loss experience or your number of claims and how bad they are is going to go up. And it's absolutely showing up in the balance sheets of the insurance carriers today.
Yeah, that and it ties back to that, right? Like I think one of the things that I appreciate bringing up all those ideas. I haven't or not ideas, but just the facts of what's really happening out there. It's hard to connect the dots, but because I just look at profits, and I remember in like 2022 we were beneficiary at DMS of there was no sports at the time, for half the year. So a lot of budget that was the carriers that had into major tournaments and stuff like that, or billboards, they were able to put that into digital marketing. So we were the beneficiary of seeing extra budget there.
Sure.
And then, of course, a lot of these companies are public and they have numbers to achieve. And when their profits are down, I think that does pull from the marketing side. Do you guys have a crystal ball?
I wish it's hiding over here somewhere.
Yeah, it's like
dust that bad boy off.
Yeah, seriously, people ask all the time, like, where, there were some people saying, I remember, 2023, it's all going to be back, everything's, so where from you guys speaking to some key accounts, do you have any good feelings or sense of when we think we can, rebound a little bit?
I would say we're talking 2024. If I had to put a timeline on it, around this time next year. But again, that's as good as me licking my finger and figuring out which way the wind is going in here. So
it's kind of been like trickling down as we say, like, oh, it's going to be 2023 first quarter, third quarter. So
Right.
We're just trying to ride it out too.
Yeah, and that's macro, right? So we all want all things heading in that direction, but like, where are some pockets of success now, Devin? Like, where are you seeing some wins in the auto space today?
Absolutely. There are some small regional players that have continued to drive growth in their little pockets. They absolutely are looking for more growth. Non-standard auto is definitely an area that's driving that in particular. In addition, we're seeing a lot of folks know that, hey, we're not profitable right now, but the market will turn. How can we spend some time to build up our capabilities in the downtime so that when everything flips back on again, we're buying smarter than everybody else out there?
Right.
Because things will definitely change in how people buy from how they were doing it in 2019 to 2024.
Right. And do you guys think any specific product will shine, or is there any specific product that you see that's gaining more budget today? For where we stand, is it calls because people can take more inbounds, or do you think it's still more digital heavy today for where budgets are being deployed for some of these regional players?
Right there.
It's really a mix, depending on who they're targeting. I think
Right.
there's a very real uh, conversation happening right now around how do you target a more preferred customer and get to them with the right information at the right time, because it's going to be a lot easier to write someone who has a car and rents their house versus somebody who has 3 cars, 2 houses, an ATV, 5 drivers. All that information's got to be pulled, and making that quoting experience smooth and seamless much more difficult than the person who is cool. Put in your 5 pieces of information, and I've got it. I can pull one report. I have everything. You or me, that's going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah, I think dare I say the space to, you just said a couple minutes ago, I think we'll be more efficient, smarter as we go into, it's kind of like a silver lining, it was just crazy how much people were buying and not really paying as much attention to fraud or some of the other pain points, because it was just the pressure to continue to grow. So
100%.
sometimes, as we need to get grounded a bit as humans, and get a better sense of what we can do to clean things up, be more efficient, be smarter, make it a better consumer experience. I think all those things will make a major impact for the future of PNC, marketing, for the future. So I know you guys will be, right in the thick of that stuff. Matt, like, how's it's been a while now since Brian Ochiltree's been out of the business. What's he up to these days? I haven't reached out to him in a while, but like, our good friend Chris Cormier, who worked with us uh, at Double Positive, is now the CEO of LeadCloud, right? So tell us about that culture shift, and give us a little sense of what the Godfather Ochiltree's up to.
Well,
Is he
yeah,
playing golf all the time?
Yeah, I'll start with Brian. Yeah,
Can you put a
got
sound clip in of like from The Godfather in this too? It'd be great.
Yeah, we'll drop it.
You and I both know that he is getting really, really good at golf. So much so that
this fucker.
yeah, he's going to the senior PGA tour for sure. We'll see. We'll see about there. I actually just played some golf with him and Chris. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
and our buddy Tim. Um,
Oh,
just a
man,
couple
I'm
weeks ago, and,
jealous.
and yeah, man, he's such a great dude, and you know, with any great mind like Brian's, you know, you'll probably see him again.
Yeah,
He's up to something. So he's
good.
doing great. And so Chris, co-founder, was with Brian from inception, basically
Yeah,
the architect of everything that is LeadCloud. So his knowledge set and experience for all things LeadCloud was a perfect fit for him to assume go to the role of president and CTO still.
awesome.
And with Brian leaving, we have a really great crew of leaders.
Yeah,
Devin running strategy and marketing, Brandon Devin VP of
yeah.
sales, operations, me and Chris. And so we have a great collective of really smart minds and experience. So as far as of keeping things on the tracks, I mean, it's been a great year with regard to that, and we're happy that Chris was ready and willing to jump in and keep this thing rolling.
Good. Yeah. Devin, do you play golf? Because, like, was that part of your interview? Like,
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
Brandon's a good golfer, right? So, like,
Uh,
everybody.
I flew up to, actually no, I drove up and played with Brian and Matt and Tim, and I was partnered with Brian, and was it the first hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the first hole I hit a drive, and Matt and Tim decided to go ahead of us, and I drilled Matt in the back. Uh,
What?
Straight. I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. Jeez.
And Brian's standing next to me saying, "You didn't even say 4." And then starts goading me and says, "This is what he gets. This is you proving your point. You're the new guy."
Oh my
Like,
goodness,
what?
dude.
I had to take one for the team on that one.
I felt terrible. Luckily, it bounced before it hit him. He says it didn't hurt. He says it didn't hurt.
Oh my goodness.
I had a few layers
never
on
knew
it. It was
that
a little
story.
chilly that day. Thank God.
It was cold.
Oh my goodness.
You were not expecting that, were you?
No, I wasn't. That's awesome. That's awesome. I miss that, that camaraderie of being able to talk golf and play golf and that's one thing that you guys have it's just a great culture, and Matt, we had a great culture at Double Positive. A lot of people, whether you were senior, executive, or you worked your way up, or just people have flourished into their careers, and we just had this tight unit. How have you been able to build or continue that and build it and put your own mark on it at LeadCloud?
Yeah, it's crazy. When you look back on the days of Double Positive, man, what a crew. The DP alumni all have been just killer in this industry and outside of this industry. And it's a huge testament to you and Sean for putting together such a ridiculous team.
We got lucky. It's all about the people.
That's it,
Sean
man.
would say.
It really, really is. And I'm a huge proponent of that. I grew up in that with you guys. Moving over here, we have been a remote company since 2013, right? During COVID, nothing changed. It was just business as usual for us. And having a 100% remote staff, there's challenges there for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that moved into that realm during COVID was like, oh, okay, we have to understand this new culture. So, one of the cool things that we have done over time, like we all got Oculuses and we play Golf Plus, we can have meetings with those things. That was really cool. We do fun little events like cooking challenges and stuff where we all can get together. And then once a year, this past year, we went to Austin, Texas. We take the whole crew down to Austin.
Great place.
Checked out a really cool band. Timmy Watts put us on to Odyssey, a cool hip hop group, of course. We went in and had dinner and just did a lot of really fun stuff together, and just getting personalities, out when you're on this all the time, you can miss out on some of that. But we do mostly what everybody else does now with Slack and Zoom. And when we talk to, most anybody, they think LeadCloud's like this big company, and we're 25 strong, and that 25 really does incredible work. So it's a tight knit group. We don't really turn over anybody. Everybody's been here for a long, long time, and
that's amazing.
Because of that culture, and we're proud of it for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were remote before remote was like a thing, so I guess Brian, Chris, yourself, like you guys had already established that culture. So in that mentality, so by the time when everybody was kind of having make these hard decisions about the stay-at-home order and how to run their businesses, you guys were just like, this is us already.
This is usual. And I think there was maybe a 2-week period that Brian and Chris both went in and got an office, and then like one would go and one wouldn't. We're not doing this. We're going remote. We're going to try something new. And man, dude, what that has done for like recruiting, for instance, like we can get the best of the best out there. There's no, geographic restrictions. That. So, for us, that was always, it was the way it was. And we flourished in that whole world. In fact, in the beginning days, and I wasn't here for this, they had like a virtual office that kind of looked like a role-playing game. Like you can literally see everybody in their office. It was like a top-down view, and you can like knock on the door. By the time I got here, that was gone. But
you're like, no, it's a little creepy, so we're gonna cut this.
know with those Oculuses, man, when you're in the office, right, and you can hear people talking, they're really there. You forget that you're sitting here at like a window. I almost put my foot right through the window because I where I was. So like,
It's wild.
it is wild.
Awesome.
It is wild.
Oh man, I never heard of that. I gotta look into it. That's super cool. So back to the biz front. I know we spent a lot of time talking about auto, but like Devin, especially leading, marketing and really helping market position where LeadCloud is today. Where do you guys see, the future of LeadCloud going? And I know there's industry agnostic things that you guys are working on. Like what gets you up excited, every morning that you got going for you?
There's so much we haven't tapped into yet. We already talked a little bit about embedded, the opportunities there for what I'd call insurance adjacent industries. OEM vehicle manufacturers are the first obvious one that we discussed. Folks like a Keller Williams or a Coldwell Banker.
Right.
There's a really big move on mobility. If you've got an electric scooter, if you've got an e-bike, if you've got some weird variation of a go-kart or a golf cart in all these big golf cart communities, how do you ensure that? Is that tacked on to your homeowner policy or your auto policy? And or can you even convince an agent to spend the time to underwrite it? Where that's an area where our integrations can help really force multiply for an individual agent or for a company trying to sell their products in unique ways. So we're super psyched about that. And I think on the specific to the performance marketing side, we had a conversation about this actually at Lead Gen World, where I spoke earlier this year. And what I've heard, and having been on the carrier side and been a buyer prior to being here, is the times are really changing in how buyers are going out there and saying, this is what I want. I remember a time where I would say, I want auto calls. What information did I have? What price I wanted to pay, and whether or not it was an auto call, and maybe if they were a homeowner or not. Those days, I think, in large part, are done. There's going to be, I want to know what zip code they're in. I want to know potentially what loss experience has that person have. How old is that person's roof? Is that a BMW 3 Series or is it a BMW M3? Because there's a $30,000 delta in how much that car is worth for those types of things when you're buying leads. So there's a lot of information and data penned companies out there really doing great work to help not only the carriers make better decisions, but the lead generators increase the value of the leads that they're providing to their clients. So I think it's going to help both sides do better.
Yeah, and probably a better consumer experience too, which we 100%. All want too, right? Because you're satisfying really the needs of what they fall into or what they're eligible for. So we're learning more about, instead of just product pushing or just having better conversations, less friction. So I think that's great. I'm excited to see that all play out. I have to ask, is AI part of that, or is that still just traditional data penned? Or I know everybody's talking about AI and how to incorporate it in your daily life and your business. I ask it on every guest that I have on. So how are you guys working with AI?
We're definitely using it on a day-to-day basis, and the particular example I brought up about how do you make an agent, how do you make it tenable for an agent to sell a product that's low premium, it takes a long time to write? Use AI and a chatbot, pull in all the information they have so they don't have to spend all that time doing the underwriting themselves, and draw that in, handle the underwriting, spit it back out to the customer or to the agent in real time. Perfect example of that. There's a lot more that we're working on that we can't really talk about yet, but I think there's some very real there's some very real impacts that AI is going to bring to the insurance market for sure.
That's awesome. It was one of those, if you tell me, you got to kill me, so don't do that. But I'm excited to see what you guys. I mean, to say that you're not, you guys are not the leader of tech, it would be foolish. Like it's you guys are absolutely one of the pioneers of development and tech, and that's like, to Matt's point, that's been Chris's DNA since the day I met him. And I actually been talking to a lot of folks, the last year, especially doing my own consulting, and I think we need more companies like LeadCloud. Right now, our industry is lacking innovation and development. I think part of that is the labor force has been compromised a bit. There's a lot of challenges with the macroeconomic conditions with layoffs and stuff, but it's also hard to get good labor, and companies are always trying to keep the lights on versus what can we do to be better. And I applaud you guys for just constantly putting that as your mission ahead of trying to keep making us a better industry, a better place. And I'm excited to see what it all brings together when you bring AI into the mix to that as well. So
we are too.
Awesome. Well, we'll follow that journey for sure. What and speaking of that, like, what shows are you guys? I know you've done some shows already this year. What shows are you guys focusing on for the second half of the year where you plan on getting out there and spreading the good word?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be at via the Verisk Marketing Solutions Conference up in Chicago in September, Contact.io in Denver, and ITC in Vegas. It's great for us. We get a lot of value out of those shows. There's some, folks we've worked with before, new folks trying to learn what's going on. Awesome to connect with new people that we haven't encountered before in new technologies. I think ITC in particular will be really interesting this year because it's on Halloween.
Oh man. Have you seen any videos of the Sphere?
The MSG, it looks
unbelievable.
Really cool.
Yeah. Unbelievable. $2.3 billion or something.
It better look amazing.
Right?
That's awesome though. And the show you mentioned, it's formerly like the Dronaya Summit. They've renamed it, right? But I think that'll be a great show too. There's always a lot of brands there. It's hard for everybody to pick and choose how many shows they can go to for the year, but those are great ones to get out there. I'll see y'all at LeadsCon.
Oh yeah, we'll be there.
Yes.
Devin's speaking at VIA, so that's cool. He'll be up there.
Nice. Awesome.
Drop us some knowledge on what we do, and yeah, man.
Good. Matt, what's a good way for everybody to try to follow LeadCloud and stay in touch with all the good things you guys are working on?
LinkedIn, LeadCloud. We do have a Facebook page too, right, Dev?
Yes, we do.
Right there.
Nice.
But yeah, LinkedIn usually is where we do most of our posting.
Good.
Stick with us.
Good. Well, shout out to you guys and the team. Please tell Chris I said hello, and Timmy, I miss you. Although we get to do our fantasy golf league regularly, although I don't think I've won anything this year. It's just too hard. You guys are too freaking good at it.
No, not me. I'm in last place right now this week.
I need more punishment in my life. I need to join next year.
Oh my goodness, dude!
It is sheer punishment most days.
It's hard. There's guys that just crush it every week. I'm like, how do they do this? But they're handicapped. AI, exactly. But thank you guys both for spending some time with me and my followers, and I really look forward to seeing you all out at some of the shows out there. But best of luck to everybody at the team, and we'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Joey. Appreciate it.
Yeah.